Good afternoon. Welcome to City News 24/7. I'm Cynthia Mulligan. Federal legislation has been introduced by the Liberal government in an effort to speed up major infrastructure projects. Our Glen McGregor joins us now from the nation's capital. And Glen, this new bill sounds similar to Ontario's Bill 5 a little bit.
Might be a little bit of crossover there, at least thematically, and it's in their objectives. This bill that Mark Carney tabled today is designed to essentially fast-track what he calls nation-building projects. So big things like pipelines, like wind farms, in Ontario, the Ring of Fire project, and all the infrastructure that's required to get to those communities, get product to and from those communities, building new roads, those sort of things. Those are the kinds of projects that Mark Carney wants to see basically approved and decided on and coordinated by one single office, one single department in the federal government with one cabinet minister. And that cabinet minister looking to be Dominic LeBlanc, the intergovernmental affairs minister, who is going to kind of report to cabinet and to Mark Carney so they can get these things approved. The concern is in the past, these things have taken a long time to get approved because you have separate zoning and environmental approvals and indigenous group sign off at different levels, different jurisdictions, federal government, provincial government, some cases municipal governments. Carney wants to put this all together in one place to get these things done faster, and he says he wants to do this quickly. Listen to what he had to say speaking to journalists earlier today.
Once a project has been designated as being in the national interest, a new federal major project office will bring together all the relevant federal departments and agencies to provide a single set of conditions that must be met for the project to move forward. Our office will work with the nation-building projects in a streamlined process. Proponents will know what they need to do for final approval on their projects, and that approval coming within a maximum of 2 years.
Now, Carney insists that even with this new accelerated streamlined process, there is still going to be full consultation with all provinces. So if Alberta wants a pipeline bringing their oil and gas from northern Alberta to refinery capacity in the east, it would have to cross through Quebec. Carney saying, yes, Quebec still has to be fully on board for a project like that to get greenlit. Also saying, and this is relevant to your comparison to Doug Ford's Bill 5, is that a sign-off from Indigenous groups has to be included in this. Not just consultation with Indigenous groups, actually consent. They have to be fully on board in order for these projects to be approved. But he hopes that this is all going to happen. He thinks there's a new spirit in this country. People want to get stuff done. They want to get these big projects completed, or at least underway, because that's been the problem in the past, is that they talk about it and they never actually get shovels in the ground. He wants to do this quickly because he says this, combined with the other part of the bill that knocks down interprovincial trade barriers, is going to really improve the Canadian economy and could potentially offset the losses we suffer because of Donald Trump's tariffs, Cynthia.
That is certainly good motivation, but it's still a tall order to get all of this done, Glenn. Now, also today, he received some pushback. A high-profile world leader has been invited to come to Canada for the G7, and it's a controversial move.
It is. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi posted a message on social media this morning saying that he had a conversation yesterday with Mark Carney by telephone, obviously, and that Carney is host of this year's G7 because it rotates between the 7 countries. Canada's up this year, and the G7 summit of all the leaders is going to be held in Kananaskis, Alberta, beginning a weekend after this one. And so Carney has extended an invitation to Modi, and he has accepted it, to come to the G7. Even though India is not actually a member of the G7, it's one of the largest economies in the world, 5th largest economy in the world, and of course has its fingers in a lot of issues that are going to be discussed at this summit. Modi has attended every G7 since 2019, so it's not unusual to invite him, to invite non-G7 members. In fact, Carney also invited Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to attend, and he's been invited to several of the last ones too, because that war with Russia is such a major issue facing the group of 7 nations. But why is this controversial? Well, there's an active, ongoing RCMP investigation into the role of the Indian government into the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He is a Sikh activist who was murdered outside his temple, his Gurdwara, in Surrey, British Columbia in 2023. At the time, Justin Trudeau, then Prime Minister, came out, spoke in the House of Commons, and directly accused Modi's government of being involved in that killing. We've since seen expulsion of diplomats by both countries, and the diplomatic relationship between Canada has been very, very poor in that time, although there have been some signs in recent weeks of potentially a warming of that relationship. This is what Carney said, though, about his decision to invite Modi despite this investigation. That's what he had to say.
India, the fifth largest economy in the world, effectively the most populous country in the world, central to a number of those supply chains, at the heart of a number of those supply chains, so it makes sense. And in addition, bilaterally, we have now agreed, importantly, to continued law enforcement dialogue. So there's been some progress on that. It recognizes issues of accountability. I extended the invitation to Prime Minister Modi in that context, and he has accepted.
So that line about there being law enforcement to law enforcement dialogue between the two countries, a little bit vague, maybe a fig leaf here for Mark Carney to cover up what is going to be, in some quarters, a controversial decision because Modi's government is seen as being pretty hardline on certain things, in particular its treatment of Sikh people and the whole Khalistani independence movement. So this is not going to play well here amongst some folks when they see Mark Carney saying, it's important that Modi be there because India's economy is so important, making a decision to put essentially the economic interests here ahead of the human rights issue. But he's also kind of handcuffed here, I think, Cynthia, because as the host of the G7, he's expected to put the interests of the group and the summit and the world above Canada's particular interests in this ongoing diplomatic tensions with the government of India. We'll see if they get any face time in Kananaskis when that summit occurs beginning on the 15th of June. Cynthia.
Glen McGregor in Ottawa. Thank you as always.
Thanks.